Hi, and welcome back to the channel. As some of you know, my name is Janelle Johnson, and I am a qualified therapist and life coach. I support clients to work through any previous trauma that they've experienced and develop confidence to live their life more authentically and in alignment with what they want for themselves. A part of that process is thinking about what they actually want for themselves. So, in our conversation today, I'm going to be talking about the reason why maybe you're not getting the results that you want. And this isn't like a super long list. I've got 5 specific things that I have found has come up over and over again in some of my conversations in the work that I do and with in my own personal life as well, in talking to people and experiencing these things for myself a lot of the time. My intention is to share some of these things that will help you to, I guess, open up more questions to yourself where you can kind of explore some of the reasons why you're maybe not getting the results that you want. So let's get straight into it. One of the things that will get in the way of the results that you want is your belief in your ability or deservingness of that thing. So I talk a lot to my clients, both in counseling and in coaching, about their values and their beliefs. So if, for example, someone's value is financial security, but their belief is that money comes and money goes and they never have enough of it because that was their blueprint in life, a lot of the time that will mean that every time they get money, they will probably some people anyway, they will spend it quickly before it's taken away from them. So that might be something where the value and the belief doesn't match up. So it's really, really important to explore what your values are and think about what your beliefs are around those things. We have a blueprint about the way that we understand things of the world because whether someone has explicitly told us this is what you should believe, or whether we have learned lots of these things by behavior and observing, which as children, we are very, very good at observing and adjusting ourselves to what the environment is looking for. We start to believe certain things because that seems like the only option. And a lot of the things that we start to believe are there because they keep us safe. So it's just about understanding where that comes from, but also recognizing that once you understand where the belief comes from, you now get to choose as an adult whether that is still something you want to believe. A lot of the beliefs that we have are outdated and they were never true to begin with. So that's something to keep in mind. Outdated or never true, a lot of the time it's because many of us are trying to relive our parents' lives without making the mistakes that they made. And that essentially is a trap because we are not focused on what we actually want. A lot of the time, in many cases that I've come across, we are focused on everything that we don't want. So thinking about your values, you're thinking about, what do I want? How is my belief system supporting this value? Or is it actually moving me away from prioritizing this value of family, friendships, financial security, career choices, um, relationships, love, fitness, health, those kind of things? What are my beliefs around those things? And it's really, really important for you to get an understanding of what those are. So the second thing on my list that stops a lot of us from getting the results that we want is being realistic. And I know that sounds really, really wild to think, well, how can being realistic stop you from getting what you really want? The issue is that when we are overly realistic, we are setting goals from our reference point of where we are now, the resources that we have now, the beliefs that we have now, and we won't get anywhere fast. The idea of exploring what you want without limitations is really, really important because otherwise you set goals based on the commitment level that you have at the moment. So if you think, for example, if you're a parent and you think, oh, well, I want to work abroad one day, but I can't do that because I'm a parent and I won't be able to carry my kids, da da da, whatever it might be. That might be the case right now, but as long as you say, well, I can't, your brain won't even look for opportunities to give you permission essentially to go after and make sense of how you could. Okay. So having children won't make that dream or that goal impossible. It will just maybe make it a little bit more challenging and maybe make it, something that you need to be a little bit more creative with. So keep that in mind. Okay. Sometimes it's called like blue sky thinking. There isn't any clouds. Let's say you don't have any responsibilities. Let's say you don't have all of these things that will stop you essentially from getting that goal completed. Think about what it would mean to you. Because once you clarify what it is, a lot of the time, the how will come to you. And that's one of the things I teach in my vision board workshops as well. Let's not think about all the limitations. Let's not think about all of the reasons why we shouldn't and start to think about the reasons why we should. So, the third reason why many of us are not getting the results that we want is because of the people we surround ourselves with and the people that we're asking questions to. So, this is kind of twofold. On one side, maybe you haven't been in an environment where what you're trying to do is the norm. And so you're looking around and you're like, well, other people aren't doing this. So, you know, how am I supposed to do this? Especially if you don't have anyone to kind of bounce ideas off or use as an example, which a lot of the time, the way to get around this sometimes is thinking about who you want as your CEOs. Thinking about maybe people who are in the media. And again, I am kind of wary about doing that because everything we see in the media is a perception. So based on your perception of that person, and be careful to say it's the perception of that person, what would they say? If they have what I want to have, what do I imagine that they would say based on what I've witnessed of them and their journey? Okay, those kind of things. Because we don't always have people in our lives that have done everything that we want to do or are able to speak to a lot of the things that we want to do. So, for example, if you're wanting to be a creative, for example, but you've grown up in a household and an environment of many academic people, scientific, who don't believe in the things that you believe in terms of creativity, it can be hard to kind of navigate that space and to know that you're doing the right thing that's for you. So that's something to keep in mind in terms of who you surround yourself with. The other side of things in terms of who you surround yourself with is in relation to people who project their fears onto you. Now, I've spoken before about when I wanted to go to Rome for my first solo trip. There was probably 80% of people who were like, why would you do that? That's so scary. Da, 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 da. And there's a lot more people nowadays who are going on solo trips, which is absolutely amazing. But a lot of people will project their fears onto you. And it will be along the lines of wanting to protect you and not wanting you to come into harm's way. And that kind of translates into, I don't believe in your ability to look after yourself. And I know I'm not trying to put them into a negative position, but essentially, they have to believe in you to encourage you to go and do something that you've never done before. The second part of that is thinking about they're not actually thinking about you and your ability to do that thing. They're actually thinking more about them and their ability to do that thing, which probably is that they don't have the confidence and they've never pushed themselves or never recognized that they can push themselves to do something as challenging as whatever it might be that you're trying to do. Okay, so be careful about who you're sharing your goals with. Be careful about who you're asking advice from, and where you're getting your advice from, because those two things play a really, really big role in the results that we're trying to get out of life. Number four, okay, comparing yourself to other people. This will definitely get in the way of you seeing the results that you want. And I say that because we only get to see the top of the iceberg. We only get to see the end goal of what this person is doing, how they are showing up in the world, and those kind of things. But we don't get to see what's below the surface. We don't get to see the lessons that they've had to learn. We don't get to see the harsh challenges that they've had to overcome. We don't get to see the choices that they've made, the mistake that they've made. We don't get to see any of that. So whilst we're here comparing our results to their results, it has nothing to do with us, and there's no way for us to really tell exactly what that person has done. because they're going to have different belief systems. They would have different starts in life. They would have a different perspective of what life is about and early starts in life and all of those kind of things. So the moment you start comparing yourself to somebody else's journey, you're kind of diminishing the growth and the effort that you've already put in to get to where you are. And the results that you get might not even be your results in that sense. They might be limited because you're comparing it to somebody else that is happy with where they are, but you're trying to get to where they're trying to get to, even though your goal, if you really were to sit down and think about it for yourself and not compare yourself to them, is actually far beyond what they're already doing. Essentially, what you're looking for, a lot of the time anyway, is the validation that you're doing the right thing. And the only person that can really give you the validation that you're doing the right thing is you. Remember, you are the adult to your younger self. That childlike version of you is looking for you to validate, to say, we're good, we're still working on it, this is still something important to us, those kind of things. The last one on the list is essentially saying that you're not getting the results that you want because you have not set a measure of what those results will actually look like. There is a quote by Zig Ziglar, and I've written it down here so I don't get it wrong and absolutely butcher it. It is, you cannot hit a target that you cannot see, and you cannot see a target that you do not have. And that is really the main thing. A lot of the time I come up against clients who don't have a clear idea about what they really want and what it would look like when they get there. And so we end up kind of going with the flow and kind of chasing our dreams, even though we haven't really clarified what those dreams actually are and what it would mean to actually get those things. So we have to be clear with what we actually want. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying about looking at your values, looking at your beliefs, not being overly realistic, because you can only see it from where you are now. So if, for example, the goal is to get a promotion to 100K a year, okay? If 100K is actually well within your sight to see, I would say up 115, 120, say that, because that's probably in your stretch zone and it probably is a little bit more exciting for you. Okay, so think about that. If we haven't set the target, we will not know when we have got there. And that's something that will stop so many people from really achieving what they want, because they end up climbing up a ladder that is not leading to a destination that they have set for themselves. A bonus thing to actually add to that is thinking about where your goal is coming from. What is the motivation? What is the why? Because there are a lot of us, again, who have been trying to live our lives to please other people. And if that's the case, you can do every single thing you can based on this list. You can believe it, you can be unrealistic, you can surround yourself with people who believe you can do it. You can make sure that you don't compare yourself to other people, you just stay focused and all of that kind of stuff. But if the goal is not yours to begin with, you will get there and you will not feel a sense of fulfillment. And I think that's very, very important point, and I'll probably end up leaving it there 'cause I don't want us to go on for too long. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Is there anything that comes up for you that you're like, yeah, that's definitely me, I need to work on that area in particular? Or is it that maybe you're thinking about some of the things that actually now make more sense and is a bit clearer as to what's been holding you back that maybe isn't on this list? Let me know what your thoughts are. I love to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. So, bye.